Hello, my name is Jim Trost, and this is A2 Insight. We're beginning our inaugural program here in 2025 with an interesting view to learn more about the wonderful world of international student exchange and the hope that members of the Ann Arbor community here will find this as a possibility to enrich their lives and their home lives by hosting an international student from around the world. It can be not only a life-changing experience for them, but also for you. So today's guest is Joey Banuelos of International Student Exchange, and we're going to talk a little bit more about the whole idea of what's entailed in becoming a homestay family for students from around the world. But to begin with, let's learn a little bit more about Joey. But first, Joey, welcome to A2 Insight.
Thank you, and thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Well, we're very glad to have you here. Why don't we start out to get a little bit more idea of your background, where you grew up, education, previous careers, and how you ultimately ended up as the Director of Strategic Planning at the International Student Exchange.
All right, well, I was born and raised in Northern California, in a small town in the middle of nowhere, and that does exist in California still. And I from there I went to study in San Diego for my university at University of San Diego. Um, and that's during my journey from growing up and at university, I was always gravitated towards other cultures and and students that I met along the way, which basically I ended up being involved in student exchange during my university years. And it's been 28 years now that I have been in the industry, and it's something that is I have a passion for because it has affected me in a positive way, and I know how it affects others. Over the 28 years, I've seen hundreds and thousands of students, have a successful stays in the U.S. I've seen families, I've talked to them, and it really does something that does change the world in a different way.
Mhm. Well, you mentioned that you kind of got started 28 years ago when you were in San Diego. Can you be a little more specific about exactly what was that initial experience and how did it come about?
Yeah. While I was in school, there was my major is international relations, and so I was looking for a part-time job that might have something to do with something international. And the part-time job that I took was actually at an exchange organization in San Diego, and that was my first introduction to what the program does. And I was an entry-level person back in those days. That's when they still would file things, make copies, and that's where it all began, where I started to see what the program does, and the kids, the people, the families, and all the good that was being that came out of this program. So that's where the passion started.
Hmm. Right. Well, can you give me a little bit more background then in terms of the organization you're currently with, the history, how they came about? What is the International Student Exchange? And give us a little bit of a background of that organization.
Yes, I call it ISE by the acronym, and I've been with ISE for about 10 years. The company has been around for several decades, and it has been, I would say, one of the organizations that's been in the forefront. It is a larger organization. We place about close to 3,000 students a year across the U.S., so it's a fairly large company, but at the same time, it also feels like a small company because everyone is approachable. You could call into the office, you could speak to the president. We're very available to people, so it's a great combination of having the resources of a large company, but also the friendliness of a small company. And that's just something that I really gravitate towards ISE, and it does a very great job at that.
Mhm. All right. Well, let's kind of get down to some of the actual processes that would be involved in terms of having students come. Well, can you give me a little bit of an idea of, let's try to take a fictitious student currently living in Germany. They're maybe 15 or 16 years old, and they are interested in coming to the United States to experience um, a chance to live with an American family and attend an American high school. How would that student learn about ISE, and what would be the process on that end for the student to begin?
So when a student is interested in Germany, they're going to be they'll probably be reaching out to agencies that do exchange programs. What we do here in the U.S., we just work as a nonprofit in the U.S., and we partner with agents across the world. So the agent in Germany that student would be, applying through them, going through the application process. They go through rigorous, interviews, making sure that they're, mature enough, their English levels are good, and they go through physical exams and also academic reviews as well. So once that student applies to that agency in Germany, that German agent, after they've done it for a review of the application, will send it to us, and then we'll review it a second time, make sure that the student is a viable candidate. And once we've accepted them, then we will start seeking a host family here in the U.S. for that student.
Great. So the students go through quite an extensive process just initially to go through the, I guess you call it vetting process in each home country through an agent network, I assume, around the world.
It takes they almost start a year in advance before they get here, because it is a process that you can't just want to go and just go the next day, because they definitely have to be fill out applications. There's a health, immunizations, medical records. We do a very thorough examination of the kids to make sure that they're going to be a good candidate here.
And once a student has been vetted, as you say, and has been going through the process through the agent, and you've done the checking, what kind of a visa do the students come in on? Is it a student visa or?
It's a DS 2019. It allows the students to basically, study here in the U.S. It's also, we're the J1 program, so they can only come here once. They can only use the visa once, and it's eligible for either 10 months, where they come here for an academic school year, or they can come for a semester as well.
Okay, so that leads to then, so the options for a homestay family, for instance, or a family hosting would be, I guess, I think there are two options, a 5-month and a 10-month commitment. Is that how that would work for a family interested?
Yes, but we also actually have a 12-month commitment, and those are not, we don't have many students that do 12 months, but the reason there's a 12-month students from January to January, it's because where they are in the world. That would be their academic year. So and we're actually in the process of finishing our January cycle right now.
Okay. All right. Well, let's kind of bring it a little bit closer to home, and particularly for our viewers that are watching, have an initial interest in becoming a host for an international student from potentially anywhere around the world. How does that process work? If they've initially found out that they would like to learn more about ISE and hosting a family, and again, you mentioned they have options of maybe 5 months or 10 months. What is the process like for a family to get through to be eligible then to have a student?
Yeah, it's if a family is interested in hosting, a student, they would reach out to our local area rep, which is Tracy Eaton, or they can contact our website. They can go to iseusa.org and learn more there. And so the thing that we'll do is, once they contact us, someone will come out and we'll call them and learn about what their hobbies and interests are, because the one thing that's going to be the most important part of the process is the matchmaking. Sometimes a family may want to host a student from France just because they've always wanted to go to Paris. But we have to dig deeper and make sure that that student that they want actually is going to be a good fit for them. So there's a process of us learning more about the family, and then we'll be matching students with them and showing them kids that will pull that relationship together. Because if a family it loves tennis or enjoys swimming, or has certain hobbies and interests, board games, whatever it is, we're going to try to find a student from that country that has similar interests, because that's something that's going to make that bond grow stronger.
So I think that's something that needs to be emphasized, which is you're not really just, I think the assumption is for most that are not familiar with this industry, or that you're really trying to make not only this an experience for this international student here, but also this is an enriching environment and experience potentially for a family here to get an additional member of their home
Yes.
with similar interests. That's amazing. I didn't realize it was that extensive. You go a little further on that in terms of how you do that.
Yes, because these kids will become part of the family forever. The host family is going to see these kids graduate. They're going to follow them when they get married, when they have kids. The families sometimes even go and visit abroad, and vice versa. They really become part of the family. It's that's the amazing part of exchange. That besides these two different people from different cultures, they end up turning into family.
Mhm. Now, if family is interested, what are the requirements in terms of the location itself? Assuming just a typical home, and what needs to be provided in terms of needs that a student would need to have if they were to join a home?
Well, the students come with their own insurance, so they're covered if there's a medical, if they're in an accident or if they're sick. So they're covered with insurance for those things. They also come with about $300 a month of spending money. So if they have money to buy their toiletries, when they go shopping, those are things that they do on their own. So the family doesn't have to take care of those things. But all we ask for families is basically to treat the kids like their own. Provide uh, a place for them to, a room for them to sleep, study, and provide three meals a day. Those 3 meals doesn't mean that you have to cook breakfast every morning. The kids can make their own breakfast, just have things available for them to do that. Depending on the schools, lots of lunch programs already are free, but being able to provide them a sack lunch for them to go is important as well. And dinner. Lots of the families, they'll eat. That's the time where they get to talk about the day, learn more about each other. So that is I would say is the main cost involved is, just the food for the most part. And uh, in transportation, if it's needed, for school or usually the kids will take a bus depending where they live.
Okay, and that is a question about the logistics. Assuming a student would be here in Ann Arbor that would be attending one of the three public high schools, I believe that would be their options. They would, if they were they would be like a regular student in the sense that if they have, well, usually the public or bus transportation is thorough throughout. That would be, they would be the same situation as a regular student of theirs living in the home. Is that right in terms of how
Yes.
they get to school?
Yes, exactly. And depending if the host family has students in that high school, they would use the same, if they drop them off or if they take them to the bus or if the kids, even walk or take a bike, it would be the same thing. You treat them just like your own kids.
Mhm. One of, I think, the concerns that I've people talk about doing this. Oh, I'm too old, or well, I don't have any children. I have a nice, beautiful home here, and I'm a professional. I would love this, but I don't feel that. I would assume you would only want people who have students of that age or traditional families. Are there options for, let's say, empty nesters, even single people that would be interested in
Yeah.
this?
Well, I gotta tell you, some of the best parents are empty nesters because they've already either had kids already, they've gone through the process, they understand teenagers, so they're one step ahead of the process. Lots of these kids that come here are going to be going to the local well, of course, they go to the local high school. They're going to get involved in sports. They're going to have friends. They're going to, it's going to be just like a normal teenager. So that the parents don't have to be involved 24/7 with the process because the kids will be busy as well. And the other thing is sometimes if someone is an empty nester, they could some take actually two students because families are allowed to take two students, and if they want to have them, just so they can pair off and entertain themselves, that's another option, for an empty nester. For people that are single, we do offer basically our family base is, it could be a single person with kids. It could be a same-sex couple, empty nesters, a family with kids. So the family unit in America has changed a lot, and so we definitely cater to everybody's needs. And we do have kids before they come to the U.S. that sign off and they say that they're willing or they're okay with going to a family that is one parent. They're okay with going into a family that will take a double placement and those things like that. So it's easy to really facilitate those things.
Now, I'm wondering that too. I guess it depends on when the placement has been made. Is there normally communication between the student and the family prior to their arrival in the United States?
Yes, and that's why we actually encourage families to pick students early on. Like right now, we are seeking students that are going to be coming in August of this year for the fall semester. But if families pick their students now, they're able to communicate with the student. They can FaceTime or Zoom, so they can have that relationship. So that really helps a lot, because by the time the student gets here, they already have a good perception of what the family's about. So it actually helps the placement by picking a student earlier.
All right. And then I'm going to be assuming this magnificent experience, the student arrival. There are instances, however, I'm sure that have popped, hopefully very rarely, where for whatever reason the connection isn't being made, whether it be on the part of the student or on the family. For how does the organization handle, again, preferably a minor
Yeah.
occurrences, but I'm sure it does happen if
And
for whatever reason. Student
yes,
isn't following the rules, or other
it,
things like that.
no, and this is real important, because I think that's the first question that will come to most families' minds, especially if they haven't hosted in the past. The one thing that we do provide is, especially with our agency, is we have a high level of support. Uh, each family has a local area representative that checks in on them every month, to make sure that the student's doing well, to make sure that the family is having a good experience. So we do that on a regular basis. And if there is a problem of, say, maybe the student's homesick, or there is a minor issue with, just basic things. Sometimes some kids don't know how to operate the washing machine correctly, or anything to do with a possible issue. That family could go to their rep, and ask for assistance. And from there, we will do everything we can to, take care of any issue that might occur. And on top of that, we have a local manager, which also is there to help the family and the area rep. And on top of that, we have a full-time staff of counselors for the students in our main office, about 8 of them that work every day on any possible issues that we can involve the natural parents to help take care of the problem.
Right. So I think that might be important for people. So in other words, when the students are there, the connection with ISE, whether through a counselor or through some official, the student will be constantly in communication to update others about how the experience is going for them.
Yeah, because we're regulated by the U.S. Department of State, and we have to do several things on a regular basis with the kids. We have to fill out progress reports. We need to make sure that they're doing well in school, that they're making friends. We really do a good job of making sure that the student and the families are heard. The other things that we do that are above and beyond is we make sure that we see the students every other month. Other programs do not do that. We want to make sure that our local representative is really connecting with that student and making sure that everything's okay, and they're able to anticipate any problems in advance.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, that kind of gives us a general overview. At the end of this program, we will give them a number to contact, as well as to follow up if family is interested. But I think one of the most important things about finding is, if someone's listening to this or watching this program and thinking about this as an option, is, given your 28 years of experience that you've had in this industry, can you just give us some examples of, well, someone that you've met with that is maybe initially reluctant and thought this, that kind of take it all the way from their experience of hosting a student to the lifelong connections that may be possible. And I'm sure you have numerous examples, but could you just kind of give us one like that, just from your experience?
I would like to sort of maybe, because there are so many, I'm trying to summarize some of the things. It's when, I don't think families are consciously out there going, well, hey, I want to host an exchange student. It's something that people don't think about a lot. And it's our job sort of to reach out to families to let them know that, hey, you have an awesome opportunity to be able to host a student and give them a great experience, and also a great experience for that family, because it goes both ways. There's learning on both sides. Again, that turns into these lifelong friendships. But in I'm sorry, I forgot the question. I'm sorry about
Oh,
that.
okay. Well, it's just kind of, I wanted, as I said, a family. You've been talking about all the benefits for both the students and
Yes.
the family, and I was hoping to give you an example of an actual experience of the connections that have lasted over long times from your own
Oh,
experience, so that
yes.
they can see this is not just, oh, I'll do it for 5 months and that's the end of it. With what are these
Yeah.
benefits after the experience itself has ended through your experience?
Gotcha. Okay. So one thing I can tell you is about my own family. In my my mother has hosted multiple times. My sister has hosted multiple times, and these kids that they've hosted, not only have they come back to study and go to school to university in the United States, but my nephews have gone back to visit them either in China, in Spain, wherever the kids usually come from. It's really broadened and given opportunities for my own family and nephews and siblings to travel abroad and learn about a different culture they never would have expected. I call them my host nephews in South Korea, which brought an amazing experience to my family, because they never would have, I don't think they ever would have thought about visiting South Korea or learning about it. And they've gotten a great, immense pleasure out of hosting kids from South Korea and learning about something. And they learn things that they never would have through the news, or through the media for the most part. And it's just those connections that are unexpected, I think, that are really important. And it's also um, unexpected. There are families that get involved that are not sure, should I do it, should I not? But it really is something that everyone should do. I think it should be something that everyone should try, because it really does make this world a little bit closer. Because these kids are going to be our future leaders. They're going to be people that are going to go into government. They're going to go into, different types of work, which are going to be able to uh, tell people in their country all the positive experiences they had in America. Because the thing that I think that's most important is perceptions that we have towards other countries, and what other countries have towards us have never changed. And what this program does, it allows to break that down and bring these people together to show what America is really like, what American families and the love that they give, and how people are, minus the politics. And so it's a great way to be able to connect the world together.
Wonderful. And what is the age group of students when they that are eligible to come? Um,
The, the kids range from 14 and a half to 18.
okay.
So they're high school age.
Okay, so they're only high school age, and 18 is the maximum age that a student is
Yes,
eligible.
because there is a limit. A student cannot be more than 18 and a half before they start the program.
Okay, okay, so it good. And then finally, the issue of enrollment in the school itself. I mean, kind of interesting. Here, the student would be treated just like a regular student. They'd have homework. They'd take regular classes. Are there any restrictions on these students in terms of what they can or cannot, I guess, do at a high school, or how are they grades that would transfer back to a school and so on, or how does that work?
Yeah, it depends on the school. It depends on the student. We do have kids that when they come to study in the U.S., the school year does count.
Hmm.
And so that would be kids like from Spain, Brazil, certain countries. They actually do get credit for the year that they come here in the U.S. So they have to do co-validation. So there's a process that they'll have to do at the end of the year so they can get credit for their classes, and they have to take certain specific courses. But for the most part, the other students, that's not necessary. So they have a little bit more freedom. And the schools I would say some will limit them and say that they can't graduate or not participate in a graduation ceremony, while others allow them. So it depends on the school what those restrictions are, for the most part.
Okay. Well, I think this is helpful just to get the word out there. And you're right. I mean, it is something that initially, you know, you have to know about it. You have to learn about the potential benefits, and I think that's it. And also, I think the commitment time. 5 months is so fast, which could turn into a lifetime of experience for
Yeah,
families, as you mentioned, your various and chances. And I think one thing to mention too, that I think just to reiterate is, the kind of individual that would be coming, it would seem to me, from overseas is a very motivated individual. It takes a lot
yeah,
to just pick up and come to live with a family. And these
yeah,
would be probably the doers and shakers of their societies when they go back, because it takes a lot of, to
yeah,
pick up roots at a young age. I mean, I don't know if you
yeah.
have any statistics about that, but just kind of, just type the personality that it would take for a student from around the world to want to go in on something like this.
Yeah, no, no, these are kids that I definitely have a drive to do more and to better themselves, and so they usually do, go further into college, and and they're in different careers. I don't have statistics, but uh, these kids, I would call them movers and shakers, because coming here is very brave.
Mhm.
They're being a high school kid, leaving your family. They don't go back home, so they spend Christmas and the holidays here in the U.S. But once these kids come here and they connect with their family, it's a beautiful thing to see, because they have a second family, and it's just a great to see the process, and the benefits that the families get here are not only getting a new family member, but they get to learn about these kids and their different cultures. And these kids do more in the communities because they're going to be, talking to their friends in high school. These kids affect kids. It's that we don't even see. I was a byproduct of that. My family never hosted, but we had an exchange student down the street from us, and that kid changed my life. And that's why I'm really passionate about what we do, because it does affect people in so many different ways, and kids, and it did for me, and that's why I love this program.
Wonderful. All right. Well, I want to thank you very much, Joey, for taking the time to talk with me today. As I said, particularly for our audience, that we will have information at the end that you can contact International Student Exchange to learn more about the process and how that would work, with the possibility that you could have a student in your home as early as August this year here in Ann Arbor. Is there
Yes.
anything else you'd want to add as a kind of just to encourage those that are watching that may be kind of on the fence? That you've really given us a magnificent overview, but one other
Yeah.
thing that might just make the difference in terms of reading to our audience.
Yeah, it's, if you haven't and you've never thought about it, is, just, I would definitely get look into it further. If you go to our website, you can actually see student profiles, and you can read, about these kids, where they're from, what they like to do, and to me, I think the most important is connecting with a student. Just you just know, as a family, when you're going through these profiles, that these kids just stand out. And um and, and also, we have blogs, family blogs that are on our website. You can see what other families have experienced, the great things that it's added to their families. Again, if you're in a small town, big town, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, these kids, they come here and they connect with their families. It's about the love that that family gives. And so, if you're hesitant, just ask for more information. And we also um, offer the short-term programs. If you don't want to commit for an academic year, you can do a semester, which is, a few months. And we also, towards August, we also look for welcome families. If you just want to welcome a student for 4 to 6 weeks, just to get that experience, that's something that's possible as well.
Wonderful. And again, that website address is
It's iseusa.org.
simple enough, iseusa.org. And as I said, that
Yes.
information will be available not only here, but at the end of the program. All right. Well, again, this is our first edition of 2025 for A2 Insight. I once again thank you, Joey, for being on the program. And until next time, I'm James Trost. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Mhm.